Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung from Walk with Tak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Please feel free to write to me at walkwithtak@gmail.com if you have any question regarding to this video or any video that I have posted in the past. If you have any video that you would like me to make, please let me know. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Recently, I received a request from a viewer. She asked me, is it possible to make a soup in the wok? And of course, my answer is that absolutely. Actually, the wok is perfect for making a soup. And in this video, I'd like to describe how I make a tomato soup. Actually, this is a tomato soup that with bacon as well as with egg. It's kind of like an egg drop tomato soup. Now, I do not make this soup according to any recipe, but I have a general idea how I want this soup to be like. It's a template of a tomato egg drop soup. But I decided I'm going to incorporate some bacon into this soup. So actually the wok is perfect for this purpose, and I use the wok for both frying the bacon and then I use it to make the soup afterward. Actually, the genesis of this tomato soup comes from these tomatoes. These tomatoes are given to me by my wife's cousin Ryan. Now, Ryan raised cattle, and each year he would take the manure from his barn and he would spread them over his garden. And consequently, he probably has the most fertile soil anywhere I can find. And he grew some exceptional tomatoes. As you can see, these tomatoes right at its prime. And he gave us a whole bucket of tomatoes. And I decided I better find a way to use them while they are at their best form. And making a tomato soup seems like to be the perfect thing to do. I decided I'm going to make this tomato soup with some bacon. Our neighbor, he raised pig. So occasionally he will give me some bacon. And this bacon is excellent. They are the type of bacon that is very thick, and which is perfect for the flavor of the soup. Now, we normally do not eat much bacon at all, and I use the bacon mainly as a condiment to flavor dishes. And in this case, I'm going to flavor the soup with the bacon. Now, when I got the bacon from my friend, I usually cut them up, and I cut them into small pieces because I normally do not eat bacon as the way it is. After I cut them up into little pieces, I'm going to put them in a Ziploc sandwich bag, and I will freeze them. Many years ago when I visited New York City, I remember I went to a restaurant, and they served a bacon tomato soup, and I really enjoyed it and make a deep impression in me. So I decided for this tomato soup, I'm going to use the bacon to flavor the soup. To cook this dish, I decided I'm going to use my 13-inch cast iron wok. I probably can use any wok that I would like, but I have cast iron wok which I do not use it often, partly because they're not a practical wok to use. They're way too heavy, but I always like to find a way to use it. So I decided for making a soup, this will be a perfect cooking utensil for it. So the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to fry the bacon first. Since the bacon is going to release a lot of fats during the frying process, so I did not add any oil to the wok. Because I have already cut the bacon into small pieces, so it worked really well in the wok. In fact, the wok turned out to be really perfect for frying bacon, because when you fry bacon, you tend to have a lot of splattering. And in the case with the wok, because of the curvature of the wok, it will greatly reduce the splattering. Now, the idea of using bacon to cook this dish is actually the utilizing of the fat that are released by the bacon. As you can tell, I'm not using a whole lot of bacon, but however, the fat is going to release significantly from the bacon, and I'm going to cook the fat with the tomatoes. This will really enrich the flavor of the tomato soup. Now, after I fry the bacon to the point which I would like to, kind of a slightly crispy, but not too crispy, I'm going to remove the bacon and set them aside. As you can see here, the bacon released a huge amount of fat. But this fat will be great in making the tomato soup because it will add great flavor to the tomato soup. And so I'm going to place the tomato directly into the wok. Ryan gave me a whole bucket of tomatoes, and there are probably about 30 tomatoes in the bucket. They're all perfectly ripened, and I want to use as much as I possibly can. Ryan's loved tomato. Each year, he grows a huge patch of tomatoes. And his tomato is always perfect because his soil is so fertile from the cow manure that he used to spread over the garden. And when the tomato is ripened, they are just in a perfect condition. And he will always let us know that we can go over to pick as much as we want. Or sometimes he will just pick them and bring them to us. And this year, he brought us a huge bucket, which, as I mentioned earlier, it has about 30 to 40 tomatoes in it. I know I have to use up this tomato as quickly as possible to take advantage of their perfect condition they're in, because at this point, this tomato has the best flavor. And in fact, I have never had tomatoes taste as good as the one he has grown. And there's certainly no comparison of the store-bought tomato as to compare to his tomatoes. So in here, I put in approximately about 10 tomatoes. I cut them in half and I cut off the top. And this way, it will be easier for me to remove the skin. In the past, when I make tomato soup, I always dilute it with water because I cannot afford to use that many tomatoes to create enough soup. But in this case, because he gave me so many tomatoes, I'm going to use the tomato soup directly as the juice that coming from tomatoes. I'm not going to dilute it with water at all. After I boil them for a while, the tomatoes skin start to detach. I use a pair of long-handled tongs to remove the skin as easily can be removed from the tomatoes, as you can see here. As you can see here, the wok is perfect for this purpose because of its large opening. You have no restriction of how to reach the ingredients inside the wok. And after I remove the skin, I continue to boil the tomato until everything starts to boil down. Now in this case, I use my cast iron wok, but you can use any wok that you have. You can use a stainless steel wok. And normally a stainless steel wok will work a little bit better because the cast iron wok, once you boil it into anything with acid, it will remove that protective oil film layer from the cast iron wok. And if you do not recoat it with a thin layer of oil, the cast iron wok might start to rust. The best quality of tomato soup is that have its natural flavor. But tomato can be vary quite significantly in terms of their flavor, because the quality of the tomato is really important. If tomato is not vine ripened, they tend to have a much more acidic content. But in this tomato, the acidic content is just perfect. It just has a nice sweetness to it. And tomato is well known for its umami flavor. And this tomato clearly has probably one of the best flavor I've ever had in the past. And together, when I make it into a soup, but particularly if I do not dilute it with any water, this makes the soup has exceptional flavor. In fact, I make this soup every year when I get the tomato from Ryan, and this is the only time really I make the tomato soup, because once you make the tomato soup with this tomato of this kind of quality, you would not want to use any other type of tomatoes, particularly the store-bought tomatoes. So I'm going to only season it very lightly with my basic seasoning mix. The basic seasoning mix will provide additional umami flavor to the dish, and it will enhance the natural flavor of the tomato and make the dish taste a little bit even more delightful. I create a seasoning mix so that it will enhance the natural flavor of the food ingredients, and you can actually use this seasoning mix in almost any type of dishes that you cook. I have this available on Amazon, and I will leave the link below the videos. And next, I'm going to create an egg drop in this tomato soup. I'm going to use 1 egg, which I beat up, and then I add the egg to the soup. At this point, I have turned the heat to low because I want the egg to nicely spread in a cloud-like fashion. So as you can see, I add the egg slowly, and I continue to stir the soup while I was adding the egg. This method is very effective in creating an egg drop in any type of soup that you want. The important thing is that make sure you turn the heat to low because this way the cloud-like formation of the egg will be more evident and easy to achieve. The last step is that I'm going to add the bacon back to the soup, and this will provide a nice texture when you have the soup. So here it is. The soup is ready. It takes about half an hour to cook this soup. It's a little bit longer than I would like because with stir frying, I can cook 3 or 4 dishes in that amount of time. But sometimes it's worth your time. I post a video each day to help you to make home cooking as part of your daily routine using my fast cooking system. If you'd like to learn more about this cooking system to make your home cooking practical, efficient, creative, and fun, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel. So keep on cooking. I will see you tomorrow.